All right, so I get back from vacation. I finally get to get a really good look at the deep dive, and I come across something. I'm like, yo, how come nobody's talking about this? This changes literally everything. So yeah, I really want to preach, and I cannot preach hard enough. Do not bring the mindset, the strategy that you had in 25 into college football 26. You're going to get decimated, okay? You have to be really smart, and that's why I'm here, okay? That's what I'm here. If you always want to make sure to make the right moves, or you want to have someone else make the mistakes for you, I'll do them. So just go ahead, make sure you following me, and make sure you looking up and keeping up with these videos, because I'm going to help out, right? I'm going to look out for you, okay? So I'm looking at the deep dive. And we talked about this already, man. Like, the actual coaching tree and the abilities and which route to go, it's going to be very hard and difficult to figure out, okay? Now, let's point out one thing that we do know. Recruiting is going to be really hard this year. We know that, okay? They're doing that intentionally. We also know that the 5 stars are going to be really hard to get, and you're going to have to count on not stockpiling these 5 stars. No more getting 10, 15, 5 stars. And then on top of that, we also know if you are some way, shape, or form able to get 2 really good players at the quarterback position, you can bank on one of them transferring the next season. So that also goes back to, you don't want to stockpile talent. You want to make sure you're getting the right players that are going to be okay with developing behind their star quarterback, because you do not want to have just a repeated open door of transfers, correct? Okay, so with that in mind, let's take a look at this second apron that they talked about in discovering the next star. They said, we expanded the power of the mind reader ability within the strategist archetype. Previously, mind reader only revealed a recruit's development trait during a campus visit, which often came too late to meaningfully influence your recruiting decisions. Now, if you possess mind reader for a recruit's position group, you'll be able to reveal their dev trait directly through scouting, giving you a crucial head start in identifying high potential prospects early in the cycle. Knowing which players have a huge potential upside and are truly special talents is now a strategic edge you can learn and identify early in the recruiting process to maximize how you spend your recruiting hours. Now, I just already explained to you everything I explained about recruiting, how hard it is, keeping the rosters, right? This right here is going to be so crucial in your dynasty. Being able to find, beforehand was like find those three star gems. Well, 3-star gems doesn't guarantee that they're going to have a really high development trait. Now imagine being able to not only find 3-star gems when you're recruiting, but then also be like, oh snap, this dude has an elite dev trait. I'm gonna tell you right now, a lot of people are not gonna waste their time trying to go for the strategist archetype. And again, there's numerous ways you can go about your coaching philosophy. You know, are you gonna be a coach that's just gonna have, you're not focused on recruiting, you're just gonna be straight transfer portal. You're just gonna get all the talent from the transfer portal, like a Deion Sanders or a Lane Kiffin, right? But as we all know, like Clemson, Dabo Swinney, he's basically, he doesn't use the transfer portal. I think since it's been open, he's only gotten one transfer one kid from the transfer portal. A lot of it is just based on solely recruiting. If you're going to be someone that's going to be recruiting and you already know you're not able to get every single 5-star recruit and that type of deal, then to me, this is going to be something that's really huge. And even if you're a transfer portal guy, why you don't have to worry about trying to be an elite recruiter? Why not just go to the strategist archetype and just make sure you can be able to see the dev traits of everybody you're looking at? It just like you're going for a talent pool that a lot of people aren't going to go for. So I know last year there was some, when you're a smaller college or university, you tended to just not focus on doing 5 stars and 4 stars because you know you weren't gonna be able to get them anyway, so you focus on 3 stars. Well, you can be a big time program and say, I'm not really trying to get these kids. I want the other people to develop them. I'll get them in the transfer portal. But why not be like, hey, but let me go ahead and look at these 4 stars, 3 stars, and whoever has elite development trait. And that is going to give you tons and tons of talent by the time they're sophomores and juniors, where everybody's, getting these 5 stars, right? Fighting for that. And then at the end of the year, they only have a handful of 5-star and 4 stars. And then, of course, they're going to be all sprinkled with different dev traits, normal, maybe an impact, that type of deal. You're over there stacking up 3 star, 4-star, or maybe not even a 4, not even gems. Maybe they're just normal 4-star, 3 stars, but they have elite dev trait, right? That gives you a massive advantage. And to me, it just opens up a door once again of numerous ways you can go through the coaching tree and figuring out what type of philosophy you want to have. Now, again, this is what I'm gonna do on July 7th. I'm going to be doing so much simulation. That's why I say you want to be in the Discord with me. If you haven't already done so, make sure you check the link in the description in the Discord, because we're gonna me and a group of guys, we're gonna be doing so much simulating from the 7th to the 10th before the official release and before our dynasty starts. So we know how truly, what is the strongest archetype to go with. So again, keep that in mind. This is going to be absolutely huge, in my opinion, and something that I'm leaning towards doing, because there is nothing better than having a development trait that is on elite status, okay? Now, you want to ask, why do I feel that? Well, then literally they answered that question for us. So like, if you scroll down a little bit, and it has in Living in the Iron Paradise, they talk about how the off season is truly going to be affected by the off season progression by players is going to be truly affected by a player's development trait. It says that star and elite development traits now have a higher minimum amount they will progress. This increases the likelihood that players with a better development trait will progress more than players with a normal trait, okay? Every year, we see freshmen arrive on campus and undergo significant physical changes during their first season. Now, when your player hits the Iron Paradise and put in the hashtag work during the offseason, you will see physical changes to their bodies. Players will now gain weight during offseason progression. The amount they gain is influenced by the player's position and year in the school. This simulates the real-world difference in physical maturity between a freshman and a senior. All right, now here we go. Lastly, a school's athletic facility grade in my school now increases the amount of progression your players receive. No different than the real world, where the schools with the best sports performance and nutrition programs seemingly perform at a higher level than the rest. The higher your athletic facility grade is, the better your playing progression boost will be. Athletic facilities are just another factor that contributes to long program building and highlights the divide between powerhouse programs and those still fighting their footing. Okay, so that's a 2-point prong there I want to talk about. The first one is, like they said, a development trait. If you have star and elite, you are now going to see the biggest gains than it was from last year. Last year, they felt like it just wasn't enough. And again, we talked about that last year, like how, we can be able to get, this elite quarterback or running back, but it felt like, they were never ever being able to truly reach their full potential. Now, if they're a star and elite, they will be able to do that. But the second prong is that now your athletic facility is going to dictate, have a huge impact on that. That is going to be critical, because this has changed a lot in your dynasty mode, because the athletic facilities never change. The grade never changes along with the grade of your education, right? So it's like, and the campus lifestyle, like those things are just stagnant. Now, I didn't see anything where they said that those were changed, but now that is going to be something you have to strongly consider when you are making if you're doing a rebuild dynasty or whatever, or if you're playing in a league where they do not have any limitations, like you can pick any team, and so everybody can pick like Alabama, and then as you know, again, if you have a 32 man league, some of these people, you're gonna have to focus on the athletic facility grade, because if you're going to be trying to go up against Alabama and stuff in your dynasty, and they have an A+ athletic facility, and then you pick like Rice or something, like a small school, because you really want to build a program up, you're gonna put yourself at a massive disadvantage for a lot of years. Like, you're just not gonna have the type of player progression and development that you would want. So what happens is, if they do not allow you to change your athletic facility grade, then I don't even know how people could really truly play unless you were just 100% picking from the transfer portal. Again, it's the thought process of, you really need to think of every single prong, right? Why are you going to recruit these freshmen and all that type of deal, and they're not going to be able to develop at a faster pace than these big powerhouse schools, because that's how it is in real life? You're putting yourself at a massive disadvantage. So now you're like, okay, well, if I'm going to do a rebuild with Rice or one of these smaller schools, and I know the athletic facilities are going to be low grade, then I do not need to make a coach that's going to be focusing on trying to recruit the biggest talent. Maybe you want to go to strategists, try to find, there's 3-star gems, but really focus on the transfer portal, because you're not going to be developing at a fast enough pace like those bigger powerhouse schools, okay? So that is huge, in my opinion, right? That is something that is definitely you need to consider. Now, this right here, I asked a question in my first video about why, the NIL players are the only ones that get a mixed bag of abilities, whereas, like Genty last year basically was a mix. He had like abilities for a powerhouse, he had abilities for a receiver, he had abilities for an elusive back. He had basically a mixed bag. He had the crazy amount of abilities. A lot of people did that. Travis Hunter did too, right? It made sense. Not, like, don't cookie cut these players. Well, this year, they finally are going to allow you to do that. So they said that previously all abilities required a single attribute level to unlock each tier. For example, a 95 toughness to unlock Platinum Powerhouse. Now, some abilities like Shifty require 2 attribute ratings to upgrade them. For example, Platinum Shifty now requires both 97 change of direction and 96 acceleration for a receiver, okay? They also said, we've also completely overhauled our archetype system, introducing new player types and physical ability combinations that better reflect the diversity of players across college football. And again, it says more on that later. Now, the thing is this, that was basically 2-pronged, right? So now, as you can see, Shifty will require 2 different attributes to be able to get, the next upgrade of the Shifty, which again, that makes sense. Usually there is a combination of things that contribute to a person's ability, right? It's just not one thing, right? So that's cool. But then again, that goes back to what also I was talking about with the overhaul of the archetype system. Now, as you see with Jeremiah Smith, he has sidestep, which is an elusive thing. He has takeoff, which again is an elusive speed receiver. You have double dip, which is a physical receiver. You have Shifty again, which is an elusive receiver. So he has a mixture of physical and he has an elusive is it elusive receiver? I can't remember. Now I'm drawing a blank, but regardless, you can see he has a mix of combinations there, and that is exactly what I hope we get to when we're recruiting, because it says that's what they're doing. So hopefully that's what it means. You're now able to, when you look at your players, or when you bring Jeremiah Smith over from and you import him into your dynasty mode, he will have these same type of physical abilities. And remember from last year in 25, when you ported over, a Genty, all his physical abilities changed and went to just straight receiving, which sucked because that's the worst ability to have, especially for a Genty. If anything, you wanted to have an elusive or power. Even though he had a combination of elusive, power, and receiving, for some reason, when you went into dynasty mode in a new dynasty and you picked Boise State and you went to go look at his abilities, they changed it all to just him being just a straight receiving back. Hopefully, this means that when you import your players, your NIL players, or your players from, Play Now, and you go into your dynasty, they're all going to have the mixed bag. And when you're recruiting and, playing dynasty, you're just not going to see your players that just have just one straight ability. You'll be able to see them having a mixed bag. That will be absolutely fire in my opinion. So hopefully that's the case. And lastly, this is another major nuke that I'm just not understanding why people are not talking about this. And it is going to be the training results. Now, we already spoke on how the athletic facility and the players' development trait are going to play a massive impact to the training results, which again makes a lot of sense, right? So that is perfectly fine. But the actual progression now of upgrading them is going to be really dope. It says, check this out. If you're looking for more direct control on how your players develop, you can enable manual progression in league settings. Manual progression is an individual team setting, so it does not require all members of an online dynasty to have the same setting. If you choose to enable manual progression, your players will earn skill points like normal. However, they will never automatically spend them to progress their attributes and abilities. You can see how many skill points each players have accumulated in the player module anywhere as a player is shown in a spreadsheet or within the player card. To manually progress a player, just access the player card. Within the player card, you can spend the skill points to purchase ratings and physical abilities. If you only want to manually progress specific players, you can do so and then automatically progress the rest of your roster by holding triangle on the roster. This will automatically progress all the players who have skill points remaining using the standard auto progression logic. Manual progression can offer a significant advantage in shaping your player's growth, so when it's turned on, it comes with a 25% progression nerf to maintain balance. This nerf is fully customizable by the Dynasty League Commissioner. It can be turned off completely or increased to 100% to fully protect users from auto progression players. Check this out, man. That is fire, right? To finally be able to upgrade your players where you want them to upgrade at. If you want to get all your running backs to have platinum change of direction, platinum shifty, you can upgrade change of direction every single time to get it. To me, that is how it should have been from day one. Have more control over what you want your team to do. And the reason I say this, because you're talking to, I'm a former D1 athlete myself. I play professional baseball. We as athletes and as your trainer and the coaches, each program has a philosophy. They have certain things they really want to focus on. And it just used to boil me up when you look at something like a wide receiver and he's focusing on power when his quickness, route running, and elusiveness and hands will be the things you want to focus on. Why is my guy upgrading his power, right? We don't care about that. You see what I'm saying? And again, if you have like a field general quarterback, you're trying to upgrade his throwing, right? You don't give a crap about how him upgrading his ability to run. You see what I'm saying? Now you'll be able to do that yourself. You'll be able to say like, listen, no, I want my receivers all to have this. I want my linemen. I need y'all to focus on becoming better pass blockers. All of y'all, like, so when the points come up for it, you're focused on pass blocking. Or if you're a run heavy program, you want to focus on making sure they're great run blockers. Focus on that. And then once you fill that up, then we'll work on something else. That's how it should be. And now you'll be able to have it. And I'm gonna be honest with you, in my league, I'm not giving a 25% nerf to nobody. It's going to be straight open. You can, I'm not, why were you going to nerf that? That's a philosophy. There's a skill to it. And also people are going to do the wrong things. Doesn't make any sense to put any type of nerf on the progression of it. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the sliders and I'm going to turn that crap off, right? Because I want that to be something as a tool that people can utilize. If you have a hard time being able to understand that, then yeah, go ahead and do automatically on. But you're not going to get any advantage for having automatic or manual. It's just going to be straight across the board. But to me, I feel like that is something that is absolutely insanity. Okay, so these are the big things that popped out to me. Let me know in the comment section what popped out to you and what you're thinking. But other than that, it's your favorite old head, Uncle Demi. I'll be back really, really soon with the banger, man. When I say back soon with the banger, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about tomorrow, man. I'm out.